Welcome again to the Morpeth Parish YouTube channel for this, the daily reflection for the Wednesday of Holy Week. My name's Reverend Elizabeth Brown and I'm one of the ministry team here in Morpeth. And again I'm joined by Harriet Gilfillan, one of our lay readers who will be reading our Gospel reading for us.
St. John's Gospel, chapter 13, from verse 21. During the Last Supper, Jesus was troubled in spirit and declared, "Very truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he was speaking. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So while reclining next to Jesus, he asked him, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." So when he had dipped the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. After he received the piece of bread, Satan entered into him. Jesus said to him, "Do quickly what you are going to do." Now no one at the table knew why he had said this to him. Some thought that, because Judas had the common purse, Jesus was telling him, "Buy what we need for the festival," or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the piece of bread, he immediately went out. And it was night. When he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify him at once."
And we have seen his glory, the glory as of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. We come today to the last of our reflections in this style for Holy Week. Having looked previously at glory and seeing or beholding Christ, we come today to truth, another universal theme in John's Gospel. John uses the word truth 21 times and in various contexts. We hear that the Word made flesh is full of truth. Christ tells us that the truth is visible in what has come before, as in the Old Testament and prophets. Jesus' ministry and the ministry of others is to be done in the spirit of truth. And Jesus himself tells us that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And he also tells us that the truth both sanctifies that which it touches and shall make all who follow it free. Today's Gospel is the final standoff before Good Friday between the light and the dark, love and fear, truth and deceit. In this account of the Last Supper, we see Jesus, the bringer of all grace and truth, holding firm against the representation of darkness and deceit, as in Judas. Christ stays close to those who love him. The disciple that he loves, we are told, leans on him. Yet the one who betrays and deceives leans back and away from him. Christ continues to show respect and acceptance, even washing Judas's feet and offering him bread. Yet Judas receives these while nursing deception in his heart. Christ protects Judas from the potential wrath of the others, allowing him to slip away quietly as if on preordained business. Yet Judas still goes on to betray him. Judas crumples in the face of the truth, the light, and the love. We're told that the deceiver Satan himself entered Judas from that time. He had had several chances throughout the meal to hold fast and step back from his path. He had several chances to stay close, to receive respect and acceptance with an open heart, to go about Christ's business of truth rather than the way of deception for his own gain. But Judas does not do so. He chooses to move away into darkness and deceit. Just as Nicodemus visited Jesus, coming out of the darkness into the presence of light, so Jesus chooses to leave the light, going into the darkness, finally losing touch with light, love, truth and freedom, and ultimately life itself. This stand by Jesus, however, was not without cost. We hear that he is troubled, the same word and intensity of emotion used for his reaction to the death of Lazarus and the prospect of his own death. And this Jesus feels even before Judas leaves. We all know that the sinfulness of others is hard to accept and forgive, and yet there is no truth and freedom without our compassion and forgiveness. As Archbishop Desmond Tutu said of the Truth and Reconciliation process in South Africa, forgiveness is not just an altruistic and noble theory. If you can find it in yourself to forgive, you become free from what happened, just as Jesus did. Indeed, Jesus died in the freedom of truth, so Judas and everyone else might be forgiven and freed. So, as we spend a few moments in reflection, let us seek the grace and truth of Christ. Whether you stand in the need of forgiveness, or indeed in the need of forgiving others, or probably like most of us, in need of both, let Christ's grace and truth, comfort and forgiveness fill you as you seek his loving face.
Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. On your creation, on the world you made, on every creature,
So let us pray to the Father, who loved the world so much that he sent his only Son to give us life. Simon from Cyrene was forced to carry the cross of your Son. Give us grace to lift heavy loads from those we meet, and to stand with those condemned to die. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. Your Son watched the soldiers gambled to share his clothes. Transform the hearts of those who will make a profit from their victims, and those whose hearts are hardened by their work. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. The thief who was crucified with Christ was promised a place in your kingdom. Give pardon and hope, healing and peace to all who look death in the face. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. From the cross, Jesus entrusted Mary, his mother, and John, his disciple, to each other's care. Help us also to care for one another and fill our homes with the spirit of your love. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. In Mary and John, your Son created a new family at the cross. Fill our relationships and those of new families today with mutual care and responsibility, and give us a secure hope for the future. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. The centurion was astonished to see your glory in the crucified Messiah. Open the eyes of those who do not know you, to see in your Son the meaning of life and death. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. Joseph of Arimathea came to take your Son's body away. Give hope and faith to the dying and bereaved, and gentleness to those who minister to them. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. Simon and Joseph, Mary and John, all became part of your church in Jerusalem. Bring into your church today a varied company of people to walk with Christ in the way of his passion and to find their salvation in the victory of his cross. Lord, hear us. Lord, graciously hear us. Holy God, holy and strong, holy and immortal, have mercy upon us.